Hey guys, just a quick trigger warning for today's episode. We will be talking briefly about things like postpartum depression and abortion and childbirth in general. So be advised, if you are someone who is struggling with postpartum depression or you know someone who may be struggling, please know that there is help that you can reach out to. You can call the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline at 1-833-852-6262. And on a far less serious note, I want to be very clear that the word is Huesera. Today, you will hear me briefly say Huesera, and for that, just know that I will be living with that disappointment for a very long time. I am doing the deep dives. I am doing the reflections. I am in prayer and counseling with my family. Do not worry. I will come back from this stronger and better. So let's get to it. Man, I am. This is like the least prepared that I've been. So this could just be unhinged. I don't know. Maybe it'll be entertaining, but probably not. Anyway. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is Scream Sister, your fun, friendly neighborhood podcast dedicated to spooky movies and spooky books. I am your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
We are two sisters. We put a lot of focus on Spanish language horror, but by no means is it just that. We cover the full wide range of books and movies that fit the spooky profile. This is episode 4. I feel like we're getting into a good groove. We're kind of figuring out what we're doing and how to do it. So that's exciting for us. Ron, how have you? I didn't even get a chance to check with you before we launched into this, but how are you doing? You said you worked out this morning. What else?
Yeah.
You're getting ready to go to the beach?
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow, so I went ahead and took today off too to extend it. And so I went to a morning Zumba class, and then I'll go to my regular evening Zumba class.
For the people, tell them what beach you're headed to.
South what is it called? South Padre. South San Padre. No, South Padre.
South Padre, yes. Yeah. So for folks unfamiliar, South Padre Island is down like the Gulf Coast of Texas. It's down towards the valley. I don't know. Is South Padre considered the valley? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the Rio Grande Valley.
Very close to Harlingen and Brownsville, which is where a lot of our family is. So, I was just there earlier this summer with the kids. And so you guys are headed down there. And we will also, my family, we will also be down in the valley this weekend. We'll be down in Harlingen. We're recording this on a weekday morning, which is not typically what we do. But so again, we're not super prepared, and we'll see how this goes. We're going to do our best. So today we're talking about I guess another bit of folklore, a bit of legend, although it's one that I'm way less familiar with. And I did some snooping and investigative work with our family, and it seems like none of our parents and none of our relatives seem to be too familiar with this one either. We're going to be talking about the legend of La Huesera, or Huesero. Ron, have you ever heard of this before?
I had never heard of this before. Nothing.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
I know nothing, and what little I was able to look up online, like honestly, I'm just like it's so obscure that I was reading what little I found. I was reading and was like, is this even legit? I don't know. I feel like
it doesn't really seem to have like a cohesive story.
It's an interesting idea though. So the legend of La Huesera, there's a number of different names that it goes by. Apparently, there's La Huesera. I'm going to be reading like straight off the computer today because that's how not prepared we are. La Huesera, La Trapera. What was the other? La Loba.
Loba.
Yeah, the legend of La Loba. I had pulled up a little bit of like what this is supposedly about, but I have no idea. Again, is this legit? How old is this? No clue. But basically, La Huesera or La Loba is the wolf woman, where there's apparently this old tale of an old woman who lives in some hidden place that everyone knows but few have seen. I'm not going to list off all the places where she's been sighted or where you could see her, but she's all over the place. Various parts of the southwestern United States, Mexico, and on and on and on. But basically, the superstition is that she's known. Sorry, everyone. She's known as a soul stealer, where I guess she claims the claim is that she weaves a dream catcher to snatch up those who would cross over and cage them in the light of her fire. The sole work of La Loba or La Huesera is that she is a bone collector. So she's known to collect and preserve, especially that which is in danger of being lost to the world. And by the way, as always, we will link resources where we pull this information from so that you can do your own digging, or at least know where we're pulling this from. So right now I'm reading direct off this website. Her cave is filled with the bones of all manner of desert creatures, deer, rattlesnake, crow, but her specialty is said to be wolves. So she creeps and crawls and sifts through the montañas, mountains, arroyos, dry riverbeds, looking for wolf bones. And then when she has enough, she assembles an entire skeleton. And then supposedly she sits around a campfire and sings over these bones. And she continues to sing over them until they reanimate or whatever. Like the wolf begins to flesh out and the creature becomes alive again and then takes off running in the fields. And then I guess it's said that as it's running, during the course of its running, the wolf is suddenly transformed into a laughing woman who runs free toward the horizon. So very bizarre, very like it reminds me of like that meme that goes around that it's like, we are the daughters of the witches you could not burn. It's like very of that vibe. So sounds romantic and beautiful, but interesting, I guess, when you consider the horror element of that and what that might actually be physically. So as you may have guessed, everyone, that brings us right into the movie that we're going to be talking about. We're going to start talking about 2022's La Huesera, the Bone Woman. Ron, had you heard of this movie before?
No, I had not
No.
heard even of
Yeah.
the movie. It was interesting. It was another.
Wait. We're
Oh,
not
sorry.
starting into it yet.
All right.
I'm just trying
I
to
know
get.
so little. It's not going to take me long to say.
Okay. Well, no, like I don't know, because you're the one who found this movie. I had seen the trailer for it a long time ago, and then I'd forgotten about it. And just watching the trailer of this movie was like hard on the eye, and we'll get into why and what we thought about it. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. I'll go ahead and read the bits of it. So 2022's La Huesera, or just Huesera. I think it's just Huesera, the
Yeah.
Bone Woman. This is a Mexican horror film directed by Michelle Garza Cervera, starring Natalia Solian, Alfonso Dosal, Mayra Batalla. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Mercedes Hernandez and others. The synopsis is my namesake, Valeria's joy at becoming a first-time mother is quickly taken away when she's cursed by a sinister entity. As danger closes in, she's forced deeper into a chilling world of dark magic that threatens to consume her. So before we get into it, just FYI, we're going to be having spoilers. We'll be talking about this movie in a certain amount of detail. I can't predict what level of detail, but we'll definitely talk about the ending, I'm sure. If you haven't seen it yet, it is available on Amazon Prime right now, so you can always go check it out and then come back and listen to the episode. Ron, now you may go into it. What did you think of it?
Interesting. It was another kind of slow burn. I don't know. Maybe it's just American horror films that just kind of immediately go for the jugular and don't ever let up. Because so far all these foreign subtitled films have all kind of been slower. Kind of takes a while to get into the meat of it. It was interesting. It probably took me to about the mid part of the movie before I kind of started thinking, hey, I think this is a metaphor for the fact that this woman just doesn't want to be a mother.
Yeah.
And my husband is always saying that I'm like super literal and I always miss the metaphor. So I was like super proud of myself that I caught on to that. The scene where really if she had killed that baby, I was going to be out. I was just going to turn it off and be done with it. Thankfully, she didn't. But then I didn't. I felt bad for her up until, she put the baby in the fridge. But
Yeah. Yep.
then I was kind of like, I don't know, kind of creepy. But it was interesting. I do not know how this movie plays into. I mean, I know the whole legend and lore of the Huesara isn't very detailed. Like I said, it doesn't seem very cohesive. But the little bits that are there, that we were able to research, I don't really know how that syncs with the movie exactly. It seems like they just kind of took the name, but it was probably the one I liked the least of the ones that we've seen so far. But I mean, it was okay. The bone cracking was kind of bleh. It was
Yeah.
kind of like, nails on a chalkboard for me. So I didn't really care for that aspect
Yeah.
of it. But it probably had the most positive ending, at least for a horror movie, of the ones that we've seen so far.
Yeah, a unique ending, and we'll talk about it for sure. But unique, like you wouldn't. I didn't anticipate it ending like that, and I was like, well, I mean,
Yeah, I
that.
was thinking this is going to go dark, and I'm gonna be upset that I watched this movie.
Well, am I? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Is it Huesera or Husara?
I
How are
say
you?
it
How are you saying it?
Wesada.
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 Huesera. Okay.
Uh-huh.
If I'm
Was
that.
it? Is it Huesera, or I don't
Uh
know?
huh. Huesera.
Yeah,
Um,
Wesada.
Huesera. Okay. My apologies. I look like a moron then saying Huesera. 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 Huesera.
Wesada. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll get into it. The knuckle cracking. Yes. Like, so throughout the movie, for those who haven't seen it, she is constantly cracking her knuckles, and I died a little inside every time she did it. I was just like,
I know, it
please
was like
stop doing it.
cringy.
Right now, I have an injury that I've had since July. I was running up the stairs and I went to grab something on the stairs, and so I put my hand out and I missed it, and so like I jammed my fingers in a way they shouldn't go, and so I mean immediate pain. I was immediately like, oh God, did I like break something? It swelled up, like my hands were like trembling from the pain. So I mean, for months, like however long since then, I still have a little bit of swelling, and yeah, it's just super painful. So every time she did that in the movie, I was just like I felt it in my fingers. I was like, no, please stop doing that. But yeah, so like I wrote that this was painful to watch, not necessarily because it was a bad movie, but just because like the physicality of it, her body just like
Yeah,
constantly,
the freaky
it
body
just
movements was.
it was hard, artistically done and very interesting, but physically very hard for me to
Mhm.
watch. I thought there were some really truly. I'm sorry if you hear it in the background. There's a garbage truck out front. There were some really truly creepy elements in this movie that we hadn't really had yet in the films that we've covered. The faceless, whatever it is that they are, like the first time she sees that faceless woman, that entity, like on a balcony as they're driving by, like I had to pause it and back it up because I was like, what's going on with her face? Is she's just like it's like blurred out, like
Mhm.
and I don't know what that is, but like what that's supposed to be symbolic of. Like, is that the Waseda? I don't know. When she sees her later on, that entity jump from the balcony and essentially like break her body and then kind of look up at her and kind of crack her neck at a really sick twisted angle. That was creepy. When she later on in the film, when she's asleep with her partner and she wakes up because she hears somebody knocking on the door, and she goes to the peephole. You know what scene I'm talking about? Where she's like, she
Yes.
looks through the peephole, and there's the entity, and you see the head like crack.
Crack.
And I was just like, no. And then she opens the door, and I was like, oh my God.
I
She
know. It's
opens
like,
the
go wake
door.
up your husband, please.
She opens the door. She goes outside. She goes like all the things that you're not supposed to do. She goes downstairs, and we see while she's going downstairs to investigate of her apartment building, you see that entity, that creature woman, pull her broken body into Valeria's apartment. So like I was like right off the bat, I was like, oh no, like this is
Oh, see, I must have missed that. I must have
you
blinked or
missed that.
something because I missed that.
Oh my
I
God.
just saw the door shut, but I didn't know.
That was like truly terrifying. I was just like, oh my God.
I
And
must have
like
been looking down.
I was talking at the TV a lot. Yeah. I thought there were some really interesting, scary moments in this movie. Oh, I do want to say, I forgot to say this. I like that we have a Valeria in this film. It seems like her sister's name is Vero. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes, but she was mean. I'm
She
not
was very
mean.
mean. Yeah, she was not a nice sister. She's just
Actually,
like
her whole family was not very nice.
not very
I didn't
supportive,
really like
not
any of them.
very, yeah, they were side characters. I mean, the movie really is Valeria, primarily she is the probably the most fleshed out character. But anyway, it reminded me, my Spanish teacher in high school, what I don't remember what his name is, but he was a very sweet old man, not necessarily the Spanish was a second language for him. And he was still figuring it out as well. Like he was very fluent, but also still figuring out certain things. So I remember like one of the first days of us being in that class, he had each of us go around and give our names, and then he would kind of give us the Spanish pronunciation of those names. So Matt, Mateo, Thomas, Tomas. I got to me, I was like Valerie, and he goes, "Oh, well, your name would be Valeria," and I'm like, "No, that is not how you would say that." I didn't correct him though, because like little teenage me, I didn't want to ruffle feathers, but now I would be like, "No, that's not how you say my name."
Valeria.
Valeria. So
That sounds like a venereal disease. Sorry.
he's like, "It's like Galleria." I'm like, "No, it's not," but that's fine. But anyway, what did I say? It was really cool to see all the pieces coming together, where we start to figure out that she is, like you said, she's living out this very carefully crafted life that she herself crafted, but it's not right for her. It's not a good
What
fit
she
for
wants.
her.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that she's a carpenter, and she like makes her own furniture. I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She's super talented, very very mid-century modern, which I have a soft spot for. But yeah, like even in scenes, like random kids in the movie just kind of look at her funny because, and you kind of figure it out later on when you go back and you think about it. Well, they look at her funny because they recognize probably that this is not a maternal, she does not have a
Well,
maternal
and
bone in her body.
she's very awkward with him. Like that very first scene when she's in the lobby of her doctor's office, I guess, waiting to get her results, and that
Test
little
results, yeah.
girl's kind of making faces at her. And normally adults that are somewhat comfortable with children will kind of smile or wave or make faces back. Some kind of, she's just very awkward, and I could tell right away. It's like she doesn't seem very comfortable with kids. Like she doesn't know how to respond to them.
Although, to be fair, like I do not always respond appropriately to other people's children. Like I like my kids and I like your kids, obviously. Like the kids in our family are fine, but like the other kids, like take it or leave it. I don't. So anyway, I had special notes regarding like, so throughout the course of the movie, fairly early on, she gets pregnant. We realize that she is pregnant. So she starts planning for the pregnancy. She's, having to take down her workshop that's in her house and kind of turn that space into the nursery. And so she's doing all the things she's supposed to do. But yeah, we're slowly getting bits and pieces from her past, that she used to be a very different person, more punk rock. And
Was
she
that the
used
same actress? Because she didn't look anything like.
initially I thought so, but then when like they flash back to her again or something, I don't think so. I don't think it's the same, and I don't think it's the same Octavia either. So she used to be, what we learn is that she used to be in a relationship with a woman named Octavia, and I don't think that young Octavia and grown up, I don't think that's the same actress either. So I think they just pulled two.
But at least the Octavia actress kind of resembled the adult version, but the young Valeria,
Yeah.
that just was there was no resemblance there for, anyway,
Yeah. So
sidetrack.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So like we get all of these pieces that let us know, like, oh, she used to be a completely different person, who used to sort of rebel against any notions of like domesticity or everything that she is now. She used to be the polar opposite. So it's kind of interesting how, like, as her pregnancy progresses, and yeah, like you said, this sinister force, or the I'm going to just call it the broken woman, the broken body, the entity that's haunting her or whatever, that she's having visions of and hallucinations of. Yeah, I agree with you that it's kind of like, it's got to be this metaphor for like, you're going down a path that is not right for you. This isn't who you are, and you're not being true to yourself.
It was an interesting approach to take with the movie, because there are women who, motherhood's not for everybody, but society kind of puts that pressure on women and makes it seem like it's odd if you don't
Yeah.
want to be a mother, if you don't want to have children, then what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very interesting take for the movie. And I was, like I said, I was very sympathetic with her up until the time, like I said, like until she put the baby in the
Well,
freezer, or not the
well,
freezer, but the refrigerator.
in the refrigerator.
But
Well, so like, and I do want to also say, like, the role of probably the only nice person in her family is her Thea,
mhm,
who, yeah, is also a woman who did not fit into the mold of like this particular heteronormative experience. And like even her Valeria's mother refers to her sister, the Thea, refers to her as like the spinster.
the
We thought you were
spinster,
going to end
yeah.
up as a spinster like your Thea. And it's like, no, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with,
yeah.
she's just, living her life. But anyway, what I was saying was, when I was talking about the special notes I had, the way that Valeria's postpartum
Depression.
depression, even postpartum psychosis, the way that that kind of manifests following the birth of her daughter, I thought it was cool the way they did it. It's really painful. Like, speaking as someone, Ronnie and I have both had children. We've both birthed babies. And so the experience of being a new mom who suddenly is responsible for delicate human life it's painful. I wrote that it's painful to watch any new mom suffer like that in movies or TV, or even just reading about it, because I don't know, it's just like, even if you personally didn't go through it, even if like you personally didn't experience postpartum depression, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like most people who have been through this, who've birthed a baby, or like I said, the responsibility of taking care of a new human, I think even if you didn't personally go down the path of postpartum depression, you can recognize it in somebody else. Like, you can identify with that pain. Certainly you can, like you said, have empathy for that pain. And so, like, it's even if you didn't find yourself on that path, you absolutely know where that path is. Like, you can see how someone can get there. And so it's hard to watch her suffer, see her getting no help. Like, her partner leaves her,
Oh yeah, I
overnight
was
with
like,
this
please don't leave her
newborn.
alone with this baby. Bad idea, bad idea.
Leaves
Don't do
her
it.
overnight with this newborn, and I just like wanted to scream at him. I was like, do not do that. And so, like, yeah, I mean, that is the scene where she has like this psychotic, I mean, let me preface this by saying the baby is doing what babies do. The baby is crying all night for hours on end. She's having to nurse this baby constantly. Like, she's on her own, she has no help, she snaps. And man, and when she's in like the physical
Yeah,
horror element of that, like it's like you see her body contort, and then her neck does that sick snap, which is just like the universal sign, I think, for when something is like not right, when something has gone demented, is like you see that head just jerk to the side real sharp. And so you're like, oh, and then yeah, she takes off, and it's horrifying because you hear the baby on the monitor, and then you don't hear the baby, and you're
oh
just like,
yeah.
oh God. I was the whole when she wakes up later and she has like no memory of what's going on until she realizes that like she has slept for so long. She's like goes off looking for the baby, freaking out. She goes to the window because
I
she
really thought
thinks,
she had thrown it out the window.
I
I was like,
know. I
oh
was
my
like, oh
God.
my God. Panic stricken while she's looking for the baby. And then she finds the baby in the freaking fridge. Like, I was just like, oh my God. But somehow miraculously the baby's okay. And I was just like, oh Christ, this movie. So yeah. And then like the ending of the movie was full of symbolism. What did you think of like the ending? And I guess for folks, can you kind of walk us through that last half? So after she finds the baby in
Well,
the
she finds the
fridge.
baby in the fridge, and she obviously recognizes that she has to do something, that things can't continue the way they are because her baby's in danger. She feels the baby's in danger from this entity that
Yeah.
she, assumes is this
Outside of her.
outside force.
Yeah.
So she, her aunt takes her to, I guess they were what, curanderas?
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of
I
like,
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
So
pretty
that she
much.
takes her
Yeah.
to like these, what is it, 3 or 4 curanderas. They perform this ritual. And in this ritual, I don't know if it was what do you call that? What is she,
Like she has a hallucination or something.
yeah, or she takes
Or,
this mind trip, or I don't know, but
yeah.
she's suddenly in this kind of like barren, stark, bunch of like trees with no leaves, and she's holding her baby blanket, and there's like multiple of these blurred
Broken,
faces,
broken bodies. Yeah.
broken bodies, just all contorting, and they just kind of cover her and take her over. And then she's laying broken on the ground, and she looks up and she sees what she feels is this entity walking away from her, all completely covered, shrouded in the baby blanket. And then
Kind of looks like a Virgin Mary, kind of.
yeah, kind of from back. And then she turns back to look at her, and it's her face.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when she realizes that there is no outside entity. This is all her own internal turmoil and struggle, postpartum depression, following a life, a plan that she didn't really want for herself, that just kind of manifested. So it's kind of like that, to take a lighter track here, that Taylor Swift song, is it me? Am I the problem? Is it me? And it is. She's the problem. There is, she's the danger to her child. So she realizes that in order to make things right, she makes the decision to leave her marriage, leave her daughter, because it is a baby girl, which they never mentioned her name unless I missed it.
No, I don't. Yeah,
the
I don't
baby
think
never
they
had a
named.
name,
Yeah.
which was probably also intentional. She leaves her daughter, obviously, with a father who loves her, who wanted her, who dotes on her, who will be a loving father to her. And the last scene is her, she kisses him on the cheek, and she walks out the door with her bags and her tools, and she walks away and to start a life of her own choosing, that she wants.
And I thought that was
the
was
most positive ending we could have, because nobody's dead.
Nobody's dead. Everybody survived.
Nobody's trapped.
and she made the right choice for herself.
Yes.
And I thought that it was a really unique way to end it, because when she comes out of, I called it Huesera mania. What you call the hallucination, the night of the hallucination with the curanderas. I called it the mania.
It was kind of like what do like Native Americans call it? Like a spirit walk?
I don't know.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, but where when she comes out of that night, the following morning, because like the whole time, by the way, that she's going through that experience with the curanderas, and she's having this hallucination or whatever, the whole time I was like, where's the baby? Where is the baby? Like that's all my brain was thinking about, but where is the baby? And so then the next morning or whatever, when she wakes up and she's resting on the couch, and the curanderas are all around her, and they're older women, and you can tell that they've just been at it all night, taking care of her baby, but also just probably watching over her and performing this ritual. So they're all tired, and they hand her baby. When I was finally there she is, she's safe, okay, because the whole time I was like, where is she? And so they give her to her, and I thought it was so sweet, it was so healing a moment, because she's able to hold her daughter with level of tenderness that she had not shown her throughout the rest of the movie. So she's finally able to recognize what she needs to do, like you said, and also
she's at peace with it. Yeah.
And she's at peace with it, and she recognized that this is what's going to be best for this baby, for herself, for her partner, whose name is Raul. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought that a painful truth, but a necessary truth for her. And so I thought it was really beautiful that she got to have that moment with her before saying goodbye and going to be who she was always meant to be. And so I thought that is an important moral for this movie, is what did I say? I was like, be who you were meant to be and walk the path that is right for you, lest you become a broken-bodied woman trying to launch yourself off a balcony to your death. Which I guess
I don't think, at first I thought, oh, is she going to go then, have a life with Octavia? But I don't. Upon further reflection, I don't think that's the case. And here's why I think this.
Okay.
So it's Octavia that takes her and the baby, and I think the aunt was in the back seat. Drives them to where the curanderas are. And the aunt gets out, and then Valeria says how, Octavia is asking her, why is she bringing the baby? Why is she doing this? Why doesn't she just go back to her beautiful house with Raul? And, Valeria is saying, this has nothing to do with Raul, and it has nothing to do with you, because it's all about her. Then she apologizes. She apologizes a couple of times. She said to Octavia, she says, please forgive me. And Octavia's crying, silent tears are pulling down her face. And she says, stop apologizing for everything. and I think what she was apologizing for was kind of reaching out and pulling Octavia back in
Mm-hmm.
as a source of comfort, as a kind of a tie to that former life that she had. But it's not necessarily Octavia that she wants a life with anymore either. So I took that as it was kind of a goodbye. Like, I'm sorry, I pulled you into this. It's not about you.
Right.
I was just looking for comfort. And Octavia realizes this, and that's why she was crying, because she knows it's a goodbye, and she drops them off and then she pulls away.
Yeah.
So I think the ending of the story, which I actually like better, is that she's not going to be with Raul. She's not going to be with Octavia, because that's the past. And
Right.
she's moving into the future, into a new life, whatever
Yeah.
that might be for her.
Yeah.
So that's how I read it.
You know, what this kind of made me think about, like you said, motherhood is not for everybody. and I think that when we get into situations where societal expectations, family expectations, personal expectations that we have in ourselves, when we try to force ourselves into that role, I don't know that good things ever come of that. And so what it made me think of, obviously, is the overturning of Roe and the dissent in particular that was written when that decision was handed down. So I wanted to kind of read a little bit from that dissent because I thought it was relevant. As of today, this court holds a state can always force a woman to give birth, prohibiting even the earliest abortions. A state can thus transform what, when freely undertaken, is a wonder into what, when forced, may be a nightmare. Some women, especially women of means, will find ways around the state's assertion of power. Others, those without money or childcare or the ability to take time off from work, will not be so fortunate. Maybe they will try an unsafe method of abortion and come to physical harm or even die. Maybe they will undergo pregnancy and have a child, but at significant personal or familial cost. At the least, they will incur the cost of losing control of their lives. The Constitution will, today's majority holds, provide no shield, despite its guarantees of liberty and equality for all. That went into my brain at the end of this movie is just that phrase. A state can thus transform what, when freely undertaken, is a wonder into what, when forced, may be a nightmare. So
because thinking back, when she first, well, not the first time she sees, I guess it was the second time she sees the entity after she's confirmed that she's pregnant, when she's on her balcony and she sees the entity jump off the balcony and just kind of lay broken at the bottom. That was kind of symbolic, because she had just found out she was pregnant. And so it was kind of like this desperate attempt to escape that. Yeah. And that's what the entity does. It's like jumps off a multi-story balcony. I thought the timing of that was interesting.
Well, and I didn't know if okay, is this foreshadowing? Is this what she's going to ultimately end up doing to herself? Because she just goes crazy with whatever is happening to her. So yeah, I wasn't quite clear. It almost looks like her, just with a blurred out face, but it body wise, it almost looks like it's her, just no face.
Well, at that point of the movie, I hadn't realized that it was like a metaphor for her conflict about being pregnant and being a mother. At that point, I thought it was just, harming. I thought this thing was going to be coming after her baby. So I didn't make that connection really until we're talking about it just now.
But you said not the favorite of what we've covered so far, but
well,
not
a bad movie. And in talking about it and kind of fleshing it out with you helps me. I think it was just the baby in the fridge that just kind of was just super jarring for me. And feeling like up until that point that she had tossed it out the window. Just kind of was like this really rough edge in the movie that.
Yeah.
But I think in talking about it now and kind of processing it more with you, I appreciate it more for what it was doing.
And I mean, that was
still thank you, Mr. Director, for not killing the baby.
That was still with 40 minutes or something left to go in the film. And I was like, well, if she's just murdered her babe, where do we have to go from here? Because that's pretty bleak. So yeah, I'm glad. Although I'm just you stuck the baby in the fridge, but whatever. Everyone lived to tell the tale. So
I choose to think that it was maybe only 30 minutes that before she woke up again and realized, and not all night long.
Yeah. I'm man, how's
cold.
that baby? It's cold. You would be
I mean, clearly there was air in there, but it was cold.
Maybe it wasn't a fully well cooled system. Maybe it was an old fridge. Who knows? But if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a see. It's like I said, it's on Amazon Prime, so go check that out. we go. I'm back on the corner. I'm back on the street corner, the Nightmare on Elm Street corner. We are going to wrap up my journey into the world of Freddy, the dream world of Freddy. We're going to be talking about films 4 and 5 today, and then that'll be it, guys. I know that there's countless more movies out there, Freddy movies, but I can only do so much. It's still funny because when I started up film 5, I was thinking to myself, like, how long can we keep doing this? I'm starting to get bored. And then come to find out, much of America thought the same thing, and I'll get to it. But so film 4, Nightmare on Elm Street, film 4 is called The Dream Master, and that came out in 1988. So what I find amazing about these movies, Ronnie, is that they were just, I don't know if you remember, but they were just cranking them out one year after another. And apparently a lot of times they were pushing to get it 1 year to the day they would release the next one. That's a crazy filming schedule, in my opinion. That's like Robert Englund working around the clock. So they're cranking these things out. A lot of film 4 is we get to see the inside of Freddy's house, or the abandoned house in the neighborhood, which honestly, the more years that go by, the more beat up and abandoned this house gets. And part of me was just thinking, how is this house even still standing? How is it that this neighborhood HOA hasn't completely demolished it or whatever? That would never fly. But we do get to see a lot of his house. We do get the return of the Dream Warriors, what the remaining Dream Warriors. So it's Kincaid and Joey and what's her face, Kristen. Although it's played by a different actress, it's not played by Patricia Arquette. So it's the return of them, but not for long because they all get killed off.
Wow.
But it does allow us to, it's like film 4 is where we get introduced to the new round of kids and the new final girl. Her name is Alice. And so apparently, where is it? I came across a list of 13 things you may not know about Nightmare on Elm Street 5, but it references 4. It's despite operating from a bare bones script due to a writer's strike that was going on at the time, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 turned into actually the biggest hit in the Elm Street franchise, becoming one of the top 20 grossing films of 1988. I don't know, plot wise.
Was there one?
Yeah. It wasn't I can see why it was probably a fun movie back in that time because it's peak 80s. You have
the best decade.
You have a reference, her boyfriend's name is Ricky or Rick. And at one point there's a workout scene where he's doing his karate workout, very much a nod to the Karate Kid, which popular films also in that time frame. So karate is and martial arts is factor in this movie. Eventually later on in the movie, Alice, as her friends are getting killed off one by one, which by the way, I mean, the other great thing about these films, to your point about American horror films, is we jump right into the killing and the people and the drama.
There's not the slow, it doesn't take 50 minutes to get.
So it's a very fast, 90 minutes, that you burn through these movies really quickly because, it's easy viewing. But yeah, the death count is high, I believe, in film 4. Everybody's getting, the Dream Warriors are killed. Most of her friends are killed. And every time a friend is killed, she kind of absorbs a part of their power. And I think Freddy eventually says it pretty clearly. He's you get their powers, but I get their spirits, or something like that. He feeds off their spirits and they're actually trapped inside of him. So her goal is to free them so that they can be at rest. And in doing that, she'll destroy Freddy. Every time her friends get killed, she kind of adopts their powers. So when her boyfriend Ricky gets killed, she kind of adopts his martial arts abilities. And so by the end of the movie, she's this 80s warrior queen. She puts on a leather jacket and cuffs and cut up jeans and hair in a ponytail, she means business. So it was fun. I still like film 3 more, but this one was also fun. At the end of all of this, I will give you my ranking of how I rank these 5 films personally. Film 5, though. Film 5, I did not care for. And it's so funny to watch this in contrast to Huesera because, if that movie is all about recognizing when pregnancy is not right for you and motherhood is not right for you, film 5, Alice gets pregnant. So her boyfriend carried over from film 4 and her are about to go, they've just graduated high school. They're about to go to Europe, I think, for a trip, little vacation before they start college or whatever. Freddy kills him. But after he dies, she learns that she's pregnant with Dan, that's her boyfriend, with Dan's child. And then she kind of becomes worried that somehow Freddy is going to turn her baby into his own demonic spawn or whatever. So she figures out that Freddy is able to move through and torment her friends and kill her friends. He's able to do that through her baby's dreams, like her baby in the womb. It was, what am I trying to say?
It was bad.
It was, I didn't like it. The movie felt like it was just sort of blasting this message to you. Once again, the message to kids, like, don't have premarital sex because it could wind up in pregnancy and you could wind up, spawning Freddy Krueger's demon baby. But if that does happen, if you do get pregnant with Freddy Krueger's demon baby, well, you better carry it, because why wouldn't you? So like at one point, one of her friends does say to her, have you thought about not having it? And she kind of like blasts that idea and just sort of feels like, no, I've seen the sonogram. This baby's part of me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I don't mean to be like, oh, that whatever. But if like the concept is, it just felt like a very, like it purposely wanted to wade into the anti-abortion versus pro-choice debate or world, because it wanted to make that statement that it's like, oh, look at this model girl who got pregnant but is making the choice to have her baby. And I don't think the film is necessarily saying, and this is what you should do if this happens to you also. But it was weird message to me that I kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. It just sort of felt like, yeah, you could do that. You could also not do that, and it's perfectly fine if you don't do that. And so, yeah, I didn't like it as much. Like I would say, of these movies, I would say in this order, I like film 3. I like 1, obviously, and we have to start. It's the film that establishes everything. 4 and 2, I would kind of put, like, I can take them or leave them. They're fun films, but they don't necessarily do anything for me personally. And then film 5, I put at the bottom of the list because I didn't like it.
So film 3 is
film
the one you like the best.
Film 3 is where we meet Amanda Krueger and where we learn about Amanda Krueger. So I like that backstory. I kind of like that. I like origin stories. Those are fun to me. So film, like I said, the one where we meet Alice. Well, let me back up. The film 5, the one where she's pregnant. I kind of thought we were going to go the way of Amanda Krueger, because like at one point Alice is dreaming where she's dreaming what happened to Amanda Krueger. Remember, the story of Amanda Krueger is that she got locked up one night with a bunch of
criminally insane.
Yeah, people who had been charged as criminally insane. And so they sexually assault her and she winds up pregnant. So like Alice is dreaming that, she's experiencing that. And so I thought, oh, well, that's cool. Like we're going to get to see more of like Amanda Krueger's story. That's a really interesting story. And then it doesn't really, you don't really have that. The end of the movie, you do have Amanda Krueger. Basically, Alice and her friend, her one remaining living friend, have to go into the abandoned asylum, find Amanda's bones or whatever, release her, put her at peace so that she can be free to then go and deal with Freddy Krueger. By the way, I will never do that with you. I will never go to an abandoned asylum with you so that you can take a nap while I go looking for bones of some dead nun. I'm not going to do it.
But wait, why are Alice's bones in the asylum?
No, Amanda's bones.
Why are Amanda's bones in the asylum?
Because I guess like at some point she hung herself in there, like she committed suicide in there. I don't think that she did. I think that Freddy Krueger killed her in the asylum because like she had her baby. And then I think, I actually don't know. Like I'm presuming that she had Freddy and then gave Freddy up, like for adoption or whatever. That's what I'm assuming. And then she kind of just like never recovered from her trauma is the story. And then she hung herself or committed suicide in the asylum. But like I said, I don't think that she did. I think that Freddy, although they never say specifically, but I think that Freddy probably killed her. I don't know. But anyway, she's trapped in the asylum because that's where she died. So she has to be released from there, and they do find her bones and they are able to release her. But then her role is to go and stop Freddy, who's about to kill Alice in her dream. And she essentially like reabsorbs Freddy into her body, the Amanda Krueger, and then tells Alice, go with your, and she's like, she's done it. She's absorbed Freddy. She seems to be standing there in pain, in torment. And she tells Alice, go with your baby, go, run, get out of here. And then poor Amanda like goes off down the hallway, clutching her stomach. And I'm like, is this woman ever going to get to know peace? Like that's her fate that she has to suffer is now she's got to like hold this monster inside her for all time. So it sucked. In film 5 sucked. I didn't like it. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of my trip down Elm Street corner. Glad I watched all these films. I'm glad that I have been introduced to Freddy Krueger. That was the other thing about films 4 and 5. man, the campy one-liners from him are just amped up times 10. Like the first 3 films, a little bit, but not too much. But these last 2, it was just ridiculous. Like every single line out of his mouth was just something,
Cringy.
like cringy. Yes, cringy. But it was fun. Okay, so we are moving on to talk about books and other things that we're into. We are currently working our way through Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. I'm close.
You're going faster than me.
I'm so proud of myself because this is a thick book and
It is a chunker.
And it doesn't read in chapters. It reads in parts, which can be very discouraging to people like me because like I need a chapter. It's like checking off something from your to-do list.
Progress. Yeah. Like so, I'm actually getting somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean I was able to get through it and so I'm close. I'm so close to being done, but we are on track for everyone reading along with us. We are on track to be wrapped up with this book and ready for discussion early October. So it'll probably be like that first episode that comes out in October is when we'll have our discussion on the book. So I'm excited to talk about it. Ron, what else are you currently reading anything else right now?
No, just that book.
Well, I just finished up for book club in my neighborhood. I just finished up I told you about this, The Block Party by Jamie Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to like it more than I think I did. It was fun, easy reading, but like the premise of the book is like it's takes place in a very well-to-do neighborhood in a cul-de-sac, and it's just sort of like scandal and murder and whatnot that erupts in this cul-de-sac full of like wealthy people who know way too much about each other and are in each other's business way too much. So it had like all the beginnings of a good story, and the beginning part of it, you're definitely, I was into it and I was intrigued by it. But then as you get further and further into it, because these people, I don't know, I guess like at a certain point, I stopped caring about these people's lives because it's like, you're just continuing to make bad decisions. And it's not even like like the books where we as readers know more than they do. So we know it's a bad decision, but they're working with the material right. They have. Yeah. In this book, they know they're making bad decisions. Like it's part of the narrative. They're fully aware that they are making the same bad decision over and over and over. And I'm like, at a certain point, I don't care anymore what happens to you because I'm like, you
deserve whatever happens.
You're not acting smartly. So definitely an easy read. So if you're looking for an easy read, that's a no-brainer. I do want to make sure I highlight, Ron, have you heard of an upcoming Latin horror anthology called Satanic Hispanics?
Not until you emailed the link to me.
So Satanic Hispanics is a horror anthology that is set for theater release in September. So when this episode comes out, it'll be the first episode of September. And this is slated to have release. It's a lineup of Latino directors. And I happen to know one of the folks who was a writer for this project. His name's Pete Barnstrom. He's a really awesome friend of mine. And he hails from San Antonio. Like I said, it's an anthology. I don't know if all of it takes place out in El Paso or if just one particular story, but I believe one particular element of the story occurs in El Paso. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's slated to come out in theaters, I think September 14th. I think we should check it out and definitely find time to talk about it on the show at some point. Pete is a great, awesome dude that I've known for a long time since I was like in my 20s, and here I am in my 40s. So long time.
You know him from California?
No. I met him where did I do? I read for him once. I went and auditioned for him once, and I'm trying to remember if that was in San Antonio it was in San Antonio, or maybe it was in Houston. I don't think it was in Houston though. I wouldn't have driven all the way to Houston for an audition. So it was in San Antonio, and he, as far as I know, he still lives in San Antonio. So always happy to support the San Antonio artists and directors.
I wonder why they wouldn't release it in, October, spooky season.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's cool that it's coming out in theaters, and it's like I said, I think it's a lineup of like 5 directors, but it could be more. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
We should make plans to watch it together. I wonder if there are any scary movies coming out in October.
I don't know. I still need to go see the Demeter. The Last Voyage of Demeter.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that one
I'm
either.
going to go check that one out.
I haven't got to see any of the movies that I want to see. Everything is about what the kids want to see.
I know that people are talking about that movie Talk to Me. I'm not so excited to see that one. I mean, I would go see it if you were like, yeah, we need to go see it. But I'm less excited to go see that one. It looks scary. Well, and
really scary.
What I am learning about myself in horror films is that I do better if I'm watching it in the comfort of my own home. If I go see a scary movie in theaters, I feel less protected. I feel less safe.
What
I
were
feel
we?
exposed.
We went to see something that the kids wanted to watch, but one of the trailers was The Nun 2, which I've
Oh
never
yeah,
seen. I never saw the first Nun, and there was a jump scare in that, and I screamed. I
in
like
the
which
theaters.
much to the embarrassment of my children. So yeah, I totally feel you on that. You feel exposed. There's nowhere I did have my blanket. I did take my blanket because I'm always cold in the theater. So I had
Yeah,
that. And I knew it was coming. I knew the jump scare was coming. I was
yeah.
already like watching through my fingers. I still screamed and jumped.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last scary movie I saw in theaters, because I'm not a fan of doing it that way. I prefer the home viewings, so I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And like I said, please, if you are reading our Share of Night, work on getting that done so that you can join us for our discussion episode. And feel free, as you are finishing that book, email us your thoughts, your questions, your opinions on it. We are
And
at
if you have any recommendations for, Latin inspired horror films or Latinx made produced horror films, send them our way.
Absolutely, yeah. If you have movies that you know of that you would like to hear us talk about, if you have other books, I will tell you right now, because I'm so close to finishing our Share of Night, I am very interested in reading more books in this vein. So if you've read our Share of Night and you know of other books that kind of fit that profile, email us because I definitely want to hear about it. We are at Scream Sister Pod. I never remember our email. I'm pretty sure it's screamsisterpod@gmail.com. But it will be in our show notes as well. If you are liking us so far, if you're a fan of what you heard, definitely give us a rate and review if you're able to. Share us with your friends and family, other people who are spooky minded like we are. It helps us find our community and it helps us grow our podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you week after next. Oh, dang it. I forget it every freaking time. Remember to keep the lights on or sleep
Yes.
with the lights on.
Sleep.
Damn it. I can't do it. Scream Sister is a Nest production hosted by me, Valerie, and Veronica. Editing by me. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street.